Hi there, my name is Miroslav, and today on this CROZ webinar I will present you up-to-date versions of IBM popular middleware software. So it is important that you keep your IBM middleware software up-to-date as that you receive latest fixes and support from IBM. So let's take a look in some popular software from IBM that you might have and what are the current versions and the recommended versions that you would wanna run. So first one is API Connect. So the currently supported versions of API Connect is the from version 5 branch and from version 2018. What is new is version 10 that has just been released recently. So on what version should you be? If you are on version 5, then if you wanna have all of the support and you wanna migrate to the later versions, it is advisable that you install Fixpack 6. Why Fixpack 6? Because Fixpack 6 and all of the later Fixpacks will allow you to migrate to the version 2018 or version 10. Why you wanna migrate? Well, version 10 and 2018 has a new architecture and will offer you a better performance and of course a lot of new features. We'll get into more details about that later. So what about DATAPOWER? Well, in API Connect it is advisable that you have DATAPOWER at the same Fixpack level as rest of the components of the API Connect. Nowadays DATAPOWER is releasing fixes as other components of API Connect, meaning the API Connect itself releases its fixes, so you need to have those two in line basically. So is it urgent that you migrate now to the 2018 or version 10? Well, it's not really urgent because version 5 is still supported version and until now there is no end of support date defined, so you might be staying on the version 5 for time being, but we strongly suggest that you start your migration in this year because as I mentioned, 2018 and version 10 offers a lot of benefits that you will get if you decide to migrate. So why you want to migrate then? What are those benefits? First and foremost, it's a modern microservice architecture and cloud native deployment of API Connect. Version 5 was great at the time. It was a solution with a class-leading secure gateway, but world moved on to the more modern microservices architectures. And API Connect 2018 and version 10, it's just that. It has a modern microservice architecture which will get you scaling flexibility, so you can scale your components of API Connect, the analytics, the portals, the gateways, without need to install anything or even touch your infrastructure. It can be all done using Kubernetes environment, be it plain Kubernetes or Red Hat's OpenShift, and on that environment you can choose how you will install API Connect. It can be on-premise installation or it can be multi-cloud installation, so you can choose what best fits in your environment. What you get with the new DATAPOWER and API gateway objects in the DATAPOWER, you get 5 times increased performance. So it's just out of the box. If you have the same policies you are doing the same amount of work in the APIs, you will still get that increased performance. And why is that? Well, the reason is that new API gateway is built specifically to handle API load, and it has a lot of native code created just for this. And compared to the multi-protocol gateways that were used in version 5, it is just faster, and you will get that 5 times the performance, maybe even more depending on the use case. So when you deploy API Connect 2018, you can choose how to deploy it. You can do it on premise with Red Hat OpenShift, which we encourage because it is a great platform to work with, and then you can have support from basically operating system to the API layer and all through IBM if you want to do that, or maybe with Red Hat for the OpenShift. But if you have other Kubernetes environments, such as maybe Kubernetes in public clouds like AWS, Azure, or IBM clouds, you can also install API Connect on top of that environment. And there are some other options as using IBM Cloud Pak for integration. IBM Cloud Pak for integration also has the API Connect as one of the products in the Cloud Pak. There are other products such as DATAPOWER, MQ, streaming capabilities, and others. So this can enable you to grow from the API management to the other areas using the same user experience as Cloud Pak offers. And the last option is using OVA virtual machines. It is a model that is closest to the version 5 deployment model, and you may want to stick to that if you don't want to administer Kubernetes environment, be it plain Kubernetes or OpenShift. But then you lose some of the benefits of the environment, unfortunately. So it's not something that we encourage, but we understand clients who want to go through that route. So why us? Why CROZ? Because we can work with you to decide together with you what's your best migration path. So it is not one model that will be applicable for all, but together we need to really choose a deployment model that works best for you and your future architectures that you will build in your enterprise architecture landscape. So that's something we do. We also do a lot of DevOps practices. We invested ourselves to get knowledge in Ansible, Python, Bash scripting, so we can support you to create your pipelines on continuous delivery or continuous integration platforms, and we can connect those platforms with the API Connect, so you have a streamlined API deployment process from the source code to the runtimes to the catalogs that they will actually run on. We can support you there, and we have a lot of DATAPOWER experience. So we started with DATAPOWER about 12 years ago, and we have certified experts in DATAPOWER for a long period of time. And in the last 4 years, we are working with Red Hat as a partner to implement OpenShift technology. So we have experience using IBM Middleware software for 20 years, and also we are moving fast in the cloud area. As I mentioned, for us 4 years we are installing OpenShift platform, so it's not something that it's new to us. And this helps us really in this new deployment models of API Connect, for instance, where we can use all of that experience and knowledge to quickly get you up and running with the new version of API Connect. In the migration procedure, we can also help you because we have some experience with migration tooling from IBM. We know what are some rough corners of it and how to avoid that. So please contact us if you want to work on the API Connect, as we are working with some large international banks and financial institutions. So let's move to the next topic, which is close to the API Connect, and that is DATAPOWER gateway. So what about DATAPOWERs? As you may know, the DATAPOWER gateways first appeared as appliance, and a lot of customers are still using DATAPOWER gateway as an appliance. Some models will have life cycle ended at 2023. Some older models are already out of support. So what to do if your hardware is not supported anymore? Well, you can replace it with the latest supported hardware appliance, which is X2 appliance, and this is really powerful. X2 means actually it's twice the powerful as the older IDG appliance. Yeah, you can do that, but that means basically you need to buy a new box. And well, if you don't want to buy a new box, you can replace it with a virtual machine. So this would mean that you are moving from the hardware appliance to the virtual appliance, which will of course lose some hardware benefits of the boxes itself. You can also replace appliance with the Docker image. Docker image is something that is used for API Connect in most cases as a DATAPOWER gateway. So basically you have a lot of options. You can go with appliance, you can go with virtual machine, or you can even go into containers and Docker images. So you can choose which form factor works best for you, and you can go with that route. What are the benefits of the new appliances? There are a lot of improvements, optimizations, new features, and a majority of those are actually around of supporting APIs and working with API Connect in most efficient way. So if you are DATAPOWER customer, as I said, we have like a 12 years experience working with DATAPOWERs, and we have performed a lot of migrations of the appliances from one version to another version. So you can trust us that we know all the ins and outs of DATAPOWER. Next topic is the IBM MQ. IBM MQ is really popular middleware software from IBM and one of the oldest ones, but still it's workhorse for a lot of messaging applications. And currently the latest MQ version is from Stream 9, or latest version is 9.1.5, and this is something that we recommend you to upgrade to, because if you are still on some older versions such as IBM MQ8, this will reach end of support this year. Actually it has reached, sorry about it, we're already in June, so now this is out of support, and we don't want you to be locked out and not being able to create new support tickets if you need to with IBM. So yeah, we can recommend that you upgrade, and you will get also some of the benefits with the new MQ version, which is easier MQ cluster administration, and a new JSON REST API uh, interface, so you can easily integrate MQ with some other monitoring software. And there is a Docker container support as well for the MQ that is important in this era that we live in, cloud era, let's say. So you can deploy your MQ also on OpenShift or other Kubernetes environments. So MQ as API Connect, it's also released as a continuous delivery, and this means that on regular basis you will get latest fixes, but also new enhancement of the product. So you don't need to wait for the next major release to get features. You will get those with the new continuous delivery model that it's in place. There are some considerations, especially if you are on a Z system. I'll not go into those as I'm not so knowledgeable in the mainframe area, but we have mainframe experts that are experienced with ZOS and ZLinux, and they can support you with the mainframe installation of the IBM MQ. When you're doing your upgrade with the IBM MQ, there are a few upgrade paths that you can choose. For instance, you can install new code on top of the existing code, or you can do side-by-side installation, which means that you install new version side by side with the existing one, and then you migrate maybe in phases to the new version. So if we look at the table, what are supported migration paths for distributed platform, meaning all of the Intel platforms. If you are migrating from version 8, let's say, of course you can migrate to version 9.1 or 9.0. But if you are on version below that, for instance 7.5, this means that you cannot directly migrate to the version 9.1, but you need to take intermediate step, migrating for instance to the 9.0 and then migrate to the 9.1. Just be aware of that. So this is also one of the benefits if you are doing upgrades and migration regularly. It becomes easier stepping to the newer version. So if you are really left behind, a few versions behind, then you will have a harder task to migrate to the latest version. You might need to go to some intermediate versions to get to the latest one. Well, similar is for ZOS platform. There are not so many versions for ZOS platform, so it's a shorter table. Another software that we work with a lot is IBM Business Process Manager. So IBM BPM has also long history as IBM's middleware. There are a lot of versions of IBM BPM you can use, and also a lot of editions of IBM BPM, like standard, advanced, express versions. And basically you want to migrate from IBM BPM because the 8.6 version will reach end of support this year, 30th of September. So what is migration path for BPM? There is a new version called BAW, and for BAW you get also case manager and BPM. There are two now versions of the product, and it's 18 and 19 version. One benefit of migrating to this new software is that there is a no-cost trade-up. So if you are having IBM BPM licenses, you can easily go to the business automation workflow and use all of the use those licenses and get all of the benefits of the case management and BPM. There are also a lot of new features that you will get. There is a process designer, which is now a web process designer, because the old one, the Eclipse-based process designer, is discontinued, and this new web designer is a current tool that you use for development purposes. There are a lot of also features that will get you work with the modern architectures, such as better support for REST services, and one business model that will cover also the case solutions and process solutions, together with a lot of fixes that are not so big. You will for sure get latest and greatest software when it comes to the process management and the case management in just one product. So we really recommend customers to look into that and to migrate, if they didn't already, to the business automation workflow 19, which is current version of BAW software. As I said, we are working with Red Hat as a partner for a few years back, and we also are using some of the Red Hat middleware software. So one of the middleware software is Freescale, which is Red Hat's API management platform. It's not so featureful as API Connect, but in Red Hat's portfolio, it is integrated easily with other Red Hat middleware software. No surprise there, but if you're using Red Hat software, it makes sense also to have Freescale, to have Fuse, for instance, and you want to also be up to date with those ones. So when it comes to Freescale, currently there is only one version that is supported, meaning 2.x, and the latest one is 2.7, which has been released just this year, and we can recommend that that you migrate to the latest version. Why? Because you will get the new fixes, features, also some security fixes that might be important, especially for solution that is on the edge of the landscape, and yeah, this will get you the latest uh, big spec from Red Hat in this area. Also, if you are using OpenShift 4, this version 2.7 will get you operators for OpenShift, which will enable you to make easier upgrade. Another product from Red Hat in middleware area is Fuse. We have used Fuse a few years, more than a few, like 5+ years, in different versions here in CROZ, and the current version is Fuse 7.x, which is 2 years old already. And if you are on older versions such as Fuse 6.x, that version ended in support in January this year. So it is advisable that you migrate to the Fuse 7 as soon as you can, and that will of course get you all of the latest features of this Fuse 7, and you will be at the supported or maintained version of the Fuse. So this is basically it. This is the products that I want you to see, that what version to migrate to, and that you see that it's important to stay up to date, because if you don't, then you lose support from the manufacturer, and also it becomes harder to migrate when you want to, because maybe there isn't migration path from the one version that you are at to the latest version, as I said. So I will leave you with this slide. As I said, contact us if you want to have a trusted partner in this migration journey, and we for sure will have experienced engineers that will help you in that journey. Bye for now.